Hello out there in cryptocurrency land. Welcome back to Real Crypto, where we take the market one move at a time while keeping the big picture in mind. And what we're going to do here at Bitcoin now is look at our most recent moves in the market and then take a look at that broader picture. So first things first, we've hit a lot of targets in this most recent downside movement. Let me go ahead and chart out what we've been looking at in the markets, and we use technical analysis to look at these markets. And what that means is that we can basically ascertain the possible futures in the market. Notice I said futures, not necessarily future. Nothing's for certain. But based on certain chart patterns that happen with more frequency and higher probabilities, we can view these anomalies in the chart, if you will, as key indicators of what will most likely happen next. They don't all work out, but quite often they do pretty well. And what's happening in the charts right now is we recently broke down from a bear flag situation. A bear flag is when you have a downtrend with a sideways channel action, preferably sloping up, being a bear flag. If this were a bull flag, we would have the inverse of this. We would have an upward sloping action with a downward sloping action at the top of it, okay? So just the inverse of this. Now in a bear flag situation, you can usually infer a measured move where we essentially take the line we drew here from the top to the bottom of the bear flag, move it like so. Now I move the top of the flagpole line, if you will, to the top of the bear flag, the highest point, and that gives us our downside target of about $4,800, give or take. I've basically been calling it $5,000. And so far, it looks like we're about halfway there, and we're going to get that if this action continues, and it looks like it is continuing, so I would anticipate us getting down there at some point in time. You notice how I just moved that, and you see how all this price action is basically chopping around this area. There is a good possibility we will bottom at approximately 627, which gives us about another 10 days or so of downside to choppy action, which is exactly what we've seen here. So let's zoom in and take a peek. And what we can see here is this general trend line. We went to the right of it quite a bit, and then we dropped straight through it, went right and dropped. Now we're going right again. Now odds are we're going to do some more action that will get us down here. I don't know exactly what that's going to infer, but this trend line right here is a pretty important trend line. It's kind of an intermediate term trend line. You can see we've already dropped through this, so this is kind of a pausing area, very similar to these areas up here. We had quite a nice pause right there. We had quite a nice pause right there. All right, there's another pause up here. And you can see that they're a little all over the place, but the general theme is sideways to upward trending action with a big decline. And then we kind of stair-step lower. So here we're stair-stepping lower. Not too many bounces to be had. And as a matter of fact, if you actually do the research on what caused most of these bounces, this isn't whales buying Bitcoin. This isn't big retail buyers buying Bitcoin. These are actually what's known as short covering, mainly on the GDAX. I'm sure some is on Bitfinex, but mainly on the GDAX. And what short covering is when someone sells the market short right here, meaning they basically borrow Bitcoin from someone, sell it up here in the hope of buying it reback at a lower price, and they will basically profit on this spread here of about $470. Okay, it doesn't have to be in one bar, that's just an example, but they can short it here and cover it down here, and that coverage action where they buy Bitcoin actually makes the Bitcoin price go up, because it is buying, but it's not healthy buying. It's actually defensive buying. And basically all these pops up, that's what they are. They're pretty much all short coverings. Now some of that will get some algorithms excited based on price levels breaking, and it will kind of move things higher for a while. But you can see here in this general basing area here, we really have not been too excited about going higher. We had a downward trending line here on the top and a rising trending line here on the bottom, come to a point and they broke down. Okay, so nothing too egregious right now. We haven't accelerated to the downside, although that is a definite possibility at this stage of the game that we accelerate to the downside on our way towards $5,000 here. $4,800, $4,900, $5,000, right around this area. Now, what are some price targets that have been hit? Well, first thing, there's another measured move that you can take just from this low area and do the same thing there. And notice that price target lined up pretty nicely with this bottom over here. It wasn't exact. They never quite are exact. And you have a price target right down here being hit. There's another price target if you take this larger consolidation, and this is thanks to Cheyenne in our Slack group, right there, if you kind of, I forget if it's right there or right there, to be quite honest with you. I think it's right here. There's a semblance of a head and shoulders pattern right here. And so that breakdown target right there, that's been hit as well. As a matter of fact, if you make this your line, which you can do that as well, this line also gets hit based off of that price action as well. Okay, a little bit more to go. Not exact. These measured moves are never exact, but they get you in the ballpark. And if nothing else, it gives you a general direction of trend. Okay, so Ethereum had a big pattern up here that worked out. Litecoin had a pattern up here that worked out and is still working out. And overall, you can see that there's more bearish action in Bitcoin than bullish action. And I want to take a moment to talk about other YouTube analysts out there. I can't speak for everyone. I haven't seen every YouTube analyst out there, but the other day I took a little bit of time to watch the what are considered the top analysts in Bitcoin, and I do not understand, based on my knowledge and history in the markets, how they can ascertain that we're at a low here, that we're more likely to go higher than we go lower. They're like, maybe we poke lower, but then we're going to come right back up. This price action does not indicate that whatsoever. It literally does not indicate that. We have a series of lower highs, and right now I have a series of higher lows that series of higher lows has been broken with this recent breach of this trend line, and we will continue down. We will hit this 5,000. I'm 98% sure we're going to hit this. All right, 98% sure we're going to hit this, and then when we get there, we'll have to re-ascertain what the market is going to do. That's what I mean by we take the market one move at a time, while keeping the bigger picture in mind. So this is the leg that we're in right now, this leg going down to 5,000. And so far, halfway through, looks like that's going to play out. Now the bigger picture, which is what I think a lot of people are missing, and to be quite frank with you, I think a lot of people's accounts are going to be damaged by this. They're going to be not necessarily forced into trades, but kind of talked into unhealthy trades and risks that they don't need to be taking. Okay, that's kind of my general consensus. And if you know someone out there like that, please, there's a share button at the bottom of my video here. Please share this video with someone that you know could probably benefit from an alternative point of view. Okay, you don't even have to believe 100% of the things that I say, but you need to listen to an alternative point of view. All right, you need to listen to that alternative. So the larger picture is this, is that we had a huge parabolic run. We had a huge downdraft. This came down about, actually forget the percentage off the top of my head. Yeah, about 70% to the downside here. We had a 70% downside move, and everyone's thinking, oh, that's enough downside move. 70% is plenty. Well, unfortunately in the markets, the participants like you and I definitely do not get to decide what is enough action. So if I remember right, and I'm pretty sure I do, there weren't too many YouTubers calling for Bitcoin 20,000 when we were sitting here with consolidation around the 3,000 level. I was in the markets at that time. I pretty much got involved right before this big pop, and I don't remember too many $20,000 price targets. There was a lot of talk about possibly, 5 to 10,000, but there's no talk of 20,000. So Bitcoin goes up farther than you think it's going to go, and it's probably going to go down farther than a lot of people think it's going to go. I have seen some numbers out there that are talking reasonable sub 4,000. I do believe that's where we're headed, between 3,600 and 2,400. That's my general bottoming area for Bitcoin based on my analysis. And the bigger picture is this. The bigger picture is we went up super high. We're going to go down pretty low. All right, we're going to go down pretty low. We had the initial drop off, a big consolidation. Now we're going to continue the drop off. If you didn't see my other video, more than likely this trend line here is going to keep a lid on Bitcoin. All right, so as we go further on in time, the price is probably not going to get above this line, probably not even close for the short to intermediate term future. All right, and that's generally what this market cycle entails. You almost have an ABC type of a pattern for Elliott waves. Okay, I'm not an Elliott wave guy, but you have an A there, you have a, I guess you would call it there a B, and then we're going to have a C leg down here towards, like I said, I'm assuming the low. Now, I'm assuming this doesn't mean anything. Please do not trade solely based off this action, but the low will be around between 36 and 2,400. I do believe that. That's what the analysis points to, and we'll kind of see what happens from there. But generally, this is not a great time to get involved in Bitcoin. This is not a time to get super aggressive. If you do decide to get aggressive, if you are watching this video based off of a friend's recommendation, you need to have a point where you're going to get out. Unless you're planning on holding this for between 12 and 18 months and really don't care about the money and you're not going to need the funds, you need to have a place where you're going to get out. Now, for a lot of people, that's going to be at this low way over here, right? This ultimate low at about $5,800, $5,900. It's about an 8% decline. That's not too bad of a loss if you want to take that risk. But there's no big expectation of a bounce here. There's generally no reason to get bullish. All right, looking at the bigger picture, taking the price action and the sentiment in mind as well. Keep in mind, guys, market sentiment at this particular part of the market cycle is more important than technical action. It really is. And the general sentiment, you can see it in the charts. You don't have to look for any kind of crazy outside indicators. The general sentiment is increasing downside volume everywhere, okay? You look at this whole consolidation since we failed to go above 10,000 here, and all of your high candles are red. They're all red. All right, and all of your bigger green candles, a vast majority of them is short covering like we talked about earlier. So what you see here is a market where people are sitting on the sidelines, and I guarantee a lot of you listening to this are as well. And you're not getting involved in Bitcoin because it looks like it's going to go lower. Well, guess what? There's about 10 million people out there in the world that have the same sentiment that you do. You're not thinking super bearish. They're not thinking super bearish. So why would this thing start to run? And when you listen to these other personalities out there that have good talk, but it's hard to explain from this side of the microphone without hearing everyone's opinions in terms of the people listening to this video to overcome some objections. But many people's thesis is flawed in Bitcoin, just fundamentally flawed in Bitcoin. And if you guys have heard some things that make you think we're bullish, please post it down below. I'd love to talk it with you. Maybe it'll change my mind. Maybe I'll change your mind. In the end, we'll both learn something, and that's really very important in trading. So I would encourage you definitely to do that. But the general message here is that Bitcoin is not bullish. It is bearish. It looks like we're headed lower. The only thing that's going to save us is a very long sustained bull trend in this market. We've been watching this a lot during the power hour, catching a lot of the pops, catching a lot of the drops. And what we've noticed is there's instant selling action on any buy, on any rally in Bitcoin. What that tells me is there's people waiting to exit the market. They have bags for much higher prices. They failed to heed the warnings, maybe on this channel, maybe on some other channel, I don't know. And they're mad they didn't sell up here towards 9,000, 8,000, 7,000. Now we're in mid 6,000s, and they have a fear of missing out of US dollars or euros or whatever their fiat currency is. And so any bounce they're selling it, and that's why we have these lower highs. That's exactly how that happens. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, there's the big picture, and here's the market during your next leg. Looks like we're kind of breaking that cycle right here, potentially moving us lower. The only thing that is going to save us is a lot of volume. And as you can see here, the past 4 days, the past 3 days especially, it's only 4 hours into this next day. Very, very low volume. Price is languishing here. And we're just going to head lower, guys. It really just looks like that. So thanks for joining me today. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you watching the video. Please hit that like button if you like it. Please subscribe and hit the alerts if you do like my content. We do post content from time to time and do live streams as well. And please feel free to check out my website, real-crypto.com, where you can go ahead and check out kind of the offerings that we do and some of the resources that we have. I do have a couple of webinars you can look into. We talk about keeping the bigger picture in mind. And speaking of webinars, I do have a market cycles webinar right here, which is, to be quite frank with you, a very good webinar. I've had no bad feedback on this webinar. Buying the Bitcoin right, how to buy the bottom in Bitcoin is probably something I will discuss later on. If you're newer to trading, this may be a little advanced for you. This is good for traders of any experience level. So, all right, guys, thank you for joining me today. If you want to join me every single day, you can do so in my Power Hour, where we go over the markets every day for between an hour and 2 hours, and it's a blast, and we make a lot of money in that room. So join us, guys. I'd like to thank you for joining me today. Thank you, and I will see you next time.